Hello, and welcome to Alpha Book Club. And happy Halloween!
Yay!
Our power is at its height. I hope you all feel powerful right now. This is the world's best online interactive book club that you can join anywhere with internet. I'm your spooky host, Rachel Heine, and joining me as usual is my fellow co-host, Maude Garrett. I wish you had your vampire teeth. We have to figure out something to do with those. Hector is sadly out for a couple of weeks with some much-deserved vacation, and he's a scaredy cat. But joining us again
he's
this week...
He's a Hufflepuff, be nice.
I took a quiz recently, and I got a fair amount of Hufflepuff. We were very similar.
Hufflepuff is like so my life.
No, I know.
Kind, loyal.
Well, I was surprised when I used to get Slytherin.
Oh yeah, no, I'm Slytherin.
But joining us is our very own Dobby, Nerdist's own Amy Vorpahl.
Hello, and we're all ladies again today. So we're a big old coven over here.
We are a coven. We're
time.
going to call the corners.
I've got some coven loving happening.
Right now you do?
Whoa. What was that? Are you Elvis?
It just rhymed. No, what?
I don't know. There was like an Elvis
Some
thing.
loving.
Yeah, thank you.
Was there?
Yeah, a little bit.
No, I was just trying to make a play on words.
I mean,
get excited.
It worked. We do have a coven. We are going to be putting hexes on politicians and bad men. But first, welcome to our Alpha community. In honor of Halloween, we will be reading a classic, Alvin Schwartz's Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. Now, we were talking about this book before we started, and someone has some strong opinions about it. Maude, have you ever read Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark before?
No.
And did you love it?
No. What is it? I had to look at the back. Okay, so far out, guys. This was not a thing in Australia. With Australia, we got Goosebumps, you know, and
We had Goosebumps too.
I read it.
Did you read Fear Street? It was the teen version. Thank you, Erin.
No.
It was the sexy teen version of Goosebumps, where it was like the cheerleaders.
Ooh, they probably said the word panties in there somewhere.
Oh, 100. They were written in like the late 80s. So and early 90s.
I went from Goosebumps to Babysitter's Club. Let's be real honest.
Did you ever read?
Yeah, I read Babysitter's Club.
When did we talk about California?
Boxcar Children.
Did someone talk about California Diaries with me?
Not
Was
I.
it Erin?
Might have been Erin.
Was that? No, it was Sam Maggs, who's on Fangirling. Check it out on Thursdays on Facebook. That was the edgy version of Babysitter's Club, where Dawn goes back to California and all of her friends are like fucked up LA kids and they all have diaries, and I loved it.
And they all have diarrhea. And I was like,
That's where your head, did your head go there too?
Yep, I started hearing that.
It was called, I said California Diaries before.
I know, but
And then you thought
they're
diarrhea.
fucked up California kids, fucked up LA kids, and they all got diarrhea.
As an LA kid, I'm
you
offended.
gotta be shitting me. Well,
Oh boy, it is a Halloween ep. So if you
get
haven't
it.
read this before,
no.
I'm going to explain some context before we dive into something that is so integral to my childhood and very being that I am.
I'll respect it then.
I actually hadn't read it either. Like some of these stories seem similar, or like
They're based on like urban legends and
so
stuff.
I've heard
You
of,
didn't read them at all growing up?
No, I can't.
At all.
I just don't
sure?
think. Maybe look, maybe I don't remember, Rachel. I'm so sorry. I don't know.
Well, we're gonna enjoy them together.
What's the context? You were gonna tell us.
Yeah,
what's the
so
context.
we're in the chat. Please let us know if you have read these books. I cannot be alone in this. They were very important. I at least know that Erin has, but they were written and compiled by Alvin Schwartz in 1981. A lot of them are based on American urban legends and myths. So there's like the hook on the car door, and there are 3 volumes. We read the first one. I was gonna ask if you had favorites, but I don't think
I do have a favorite. I got a
of
favorite.
the volumes.
Oh God, no.
Yeah.
Oh, of the 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, 1, 2, and 3.
I've got a favorite story.
We will get into that.
What's your favorite
I will
volume,
answer my own question. So Erin brought this is really cool. I didn't have this. This is the
That's hers from her collection.
trilogy, yeah. So I had them just to tell a brief story that's definitely not going to make me sound real silly. So there's volume 1, volume 2, and volume 3. My favorite was volume 3, which we didn't read, but I highly recommend. Thanks, Erin. And I want to read some of them later because this gave me nightmares till now. Like,
wait.
You did read it.
I did. I did. Wait.
Yes.
Fucking. I still. Yes. If you're gonna read this, holy fuck! Every time I've had is it, man.
You think about spiders coming out of your face.
Exactly right. But
You guys wouldn't last a day in Australia.
Wait,
I am from Southern California. I wouldn't last a day anywhere else. Anywhere else in the world.
Yeah.
My sweet spot is 68 to 75 degrees and no rain.
Oh, no, wait, 75
I might have just.
I don't know. Oh, no.
Yeah, and then this is I've seen over and over and
that
over.
One's
That's how I
horrifying.
take my selfies.
That's a photo of Erin. That's her profile picture, I think, right now. There's
my
the
God,
spider one,
Erin.
but this one was my favorite. And I just, these illustrations are burned into my brain more so than anything. Like, you know that I can't visualize. These haunt my dreams forever. The original versions had illustrations by Stephen Gamel, but in the newer versions, they have less scary illustrations by Brett Hellquist, who illustrated a series of unfortunate events.
And that's the one that Amy's got right there. It's a little bit.
Yeah, and that's the one I had too. And I wish I
yeah.
had my originals because when I was in probably, what year did this one come out? Can I look?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Just because I had the third one, which was my favorite one, and
I will say though, even if I had read them, they're not that memorable like those for some reason.
it's the image. Well, it's also the images I think associated with them. But it came out in '91, which was probably not when I had them because I would have been a toddler. But in elementary school, I had these books and I loved them, and I was kind of the kid who would like bring a book that maybe my parents gave me a book on sex that I brought to school and then got in trouble for it for like showing everyone how sex worked.
And you loved it. Did you love getting in trouble for it?
No. I was just like, why would I get in trouble for information?
Oh, sure.
This is information that I'm sharing. I was a terrible child. But and I had this book. My first boyfriend in like third or fourth grade, Kevin Bell, asked me to be his girlfriend because he borrowed my book and wrote in the back, and my mom might have it. There was a whole conversation like, do you like me type thing?
Yeah.
In the back of scary stories. That's the most me thing of all
I mean,
time.
you know, as someone
my
who relates more to
gosh.
parents now than children, that is a scary story. You confessing feelings for an 8-year-old child.
in a book about like murder and ghosts. But I had it for years because it was like, oh, that's my first whatever. But
I am sure that if I was 8 years old reading that, I would be mortified.
look at this.
I think that, I mean,
it's
it
horrible.
looks like a fat
I'm not going to
foul.
bend it, Erin, I promise. I'm being very careful. So apparently these, I honestly don't get it, but they are one of the most challenged book series by schools due to their graphic nature. There are a lot of, in the first section, there were stories that I think because this one was my favorite, I didn't read the first one as much, where I was like, is this a euphemism for something else? Like there's a few stories where I'm like, I feel like the urban legend itself, as it started, was probably...
Can I help you carry your basket?
Yeah, or the horse one.
Oh yeah.
The horse one was weird. Where it's like he had to. We'll get into it, but there's a film in production produced by GDT, Guillermo del Toro.
Really?
Yes. And
About these?
Yeah, but I don't know if it's going to be what it's going to be.
There's gotta be.
Is it going to take the Goosebumps approach, which took the stories and made them come to life, or is it going to focus on one story?
Interesting.
I don't know.
Or it could be an
There's just
anthology
there's no
in a movie.
substance to them though, really. They're very short.
They are. That's why I can't. It might be something where it's like kids
reading it as an adult. I had to go in with a different context of like, because it says collected from folklore and retold by Alvin Schwartz. So right away you know that this is like not necessarily his point of view or anything like that. He's not trying to say anything. It really is just a collection. So I went in and I saw the index at the back. The bibliography, and I'm like, great, this will be a little bit of a history of what people have told. But that being said, it wasn't that enjoyable. It just wasn't that enjoyable.
I was surprised reading it again this time how I don't even remember that it gave you instructions on how to scare people. Like the
That
full
was
first
so
section.
bad. That set the
okay, wait.
tone as well. I
Okay.
didn't like that. Yeah.
Let's see. Pretend you're 8.
I know, and it's
Can we
like
dim the light? No, probably not. We're on camera. But
No, I would scare myself shitless when I was like having sleepovers and all that. So I understand the context of it, and I remember telling scary stories, and it would sit with me, and I would lay awake thinking about it over and over in my mind because my imagination is just too vivid. But at the same time, you're asking a 24-year-old to read these books.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Is that funny? Is that funny? No. Erin, do you want to know what a real
You're
nightmare
so
looks
mature.
like?
You're so mature.
Thank you.
For your age.
I actually preferred obviously the second half of this book where you got into a little bit of like more substance and you told a story.
Yeah.
But like the first 5, it was so formulaic where it was like
Doo-dee-doo-dee-doo.
irrelevant. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. I think when I was reading them, I was I was waiting for certain ones from I think the second and the third one.
read some of those. Read that one with the red spot.
I'll read the red
Read that
spot.
red spot
Oh, the
because
red
that
spot.
one.
I told Kyle he should do a because science on the red spot, and he said no.
Oh.
I was like, why? It's really scary.
Oh, I would love him to just say that it'll never ever happen. Don't even worry about it.
That's not what he would
I
say.
heard the urban myth. Did you guys hear about the guy who had dreadlocks and got his hair cut?
No.
Oh.
What is that?
This is the stuff that I would hear. The guy, and they started cutting his dreadlocks, but a spider had crawled into his hair and laid all of the eggs, and when they cut the dreadlock, all the little baby spiders ran out. But like he aggravated the nest, and so his skull was getting.
That's the same. That's this.
Yeah.
It's a different version of this.
It is a different version.
I will say I also read that certain brands of coffee makers can have infestations of bugs in them under the plate. Like you fill in the water, but the other stuff is like. So I always anytime I refill it, I take it apart because I'm afraid.
You refill
of the
what?
Like my Nespresso or Keurig or whatever.
I've got an espresso, but you just pick it out and.
No, I know, but in the actual thing, anyway, I'm gonna read
make
this.
you stronger.
To have spiders in your coffee?
Immune system.
That's not how that works at all.
It's in Australia.
So this is the red spot. This is one that has haunted me for my entire life. I'm gonna read it. The
I'll
red
get in the
spot.
zone.
I didn't realize how short this is. Also. Oh wait. That's it? Really?
Yeah.
Wow. When I was a kid, it was like this epic tale. While Ruth slept, a spider crawled across her face. It stopped for several minutes on her left cheek, then went on his way. "What is that red spot on my cheek?" she asked her mother the next morning. "Looks like a spider bite," her mother said. "It'll go away. Just don't scratch it." Soon the small red spot grew into a small red boil. "Look at it now," Ruth says. "It's getting bigger. It's sore." "That sometimes happens," her mother said. "It's coming to a head." In a few days, the boil was even larger. "Look at it now," Ruth said. "It hurts and it's ugly." True story, Ruth. "We'll have the doctor look at it," her mother said. "Maybe it's infected." But the doctor couldn't see Ruth until the next day. That night, Ruth took a hot bath. As she soaked herself, the boil burst. Out poured a swarm of tiny spiders from the eggs their mother had laid in her cheek. Come on. Reading that as a child?
The reason I remember that is the word boil. That's the first mention of what a boil was.
That's it. It's done. It's over. You're done.
I know. I thought it was like
your
multiple
story.
pages.
It's your dreadlock story, but
it is.
But I didn't know what a boil was, and I remember specifically asking what a boil was.
This is the one. This is the one that oh gosh. But the first one, okay,
it actually reminds me a little bit of like Roald Dahl's stuff. I'm thinking, did Roald Dahl have a boil story though?
Well, the Twits maybe were described as having boils because they grew uglier the uglier they were inside. But also I feel like the illustrations, like these are scary, but not these. These are not scary. But that illustration, like all the
His
original
short stories are fucked
he had a fucked up childhood for sure. Oh, good. But those illustrations, in those books, even though they're simpler, they kind of remind me of that era, maybe. Yeah. So which one's your favorite?
I'm going to read my favorite one.
Okay.
And it's not because it's scary, it's because it could actually happen. And it's because it is resonating with me. And there's also another urban legend that I have heard about, which is like this one, which I will talk about after.
Okay.
Page 66. High beams.
Oh no.
The girl driving the old blue sedan was a senior at the high school. She lived on a farm about 8 miles away and used the car to drive back and forth. Great setup. I understand what's happening. Don't know a name yet, unlike
These
Ruth.
illustrations, they'll leave something to be desired from the other ones.
Oh yeah, her face looks like this.
They're way scarier with the illustrations.
No.
Anyway, continue.
She had driven into town that night to see a basketball game. Now she was on her way home. As she pulled away from the school, she noticed a red pickup truck follow her out of the parking lot. A few minutes later, the truck was still behind her. I guess we're going in the same direction, she thought. She began to watch the truck in her mirror. When she changed her speed, the driver of the truck changed his speed. When she passed a car, so did he. Then he turned on his high beams, flooding her car with light. He left them on for almost a minute. He probably wants to pass me, she thought, but she was becoming uneasy. Usually she drove home over a back road. Not too many people went that way, but when she turned onto the road, so did the truck. I've got to get away from him, she thought, and she began to drive faster. Then he turned his high beams on again. After a minute, he turned them off. Then he turned them on again and off again. She drove even faster, but the truck driver stayed right behind her. Then he turned his high beams on again. Once more her car was ablaze with light. What is he doing, she wondered. What does he want? Then he turned them off again. But a minute later he had them back on again, and then he left them off. At last she pulled into her driveway, and the truck pulled in right behind her. She jumped from the car and ran to the house. Call the police, she screamed at her father. Out in the driveway she could see the driver of the truck. He had a gun in his hand. When the police arrived, they started to arrest him, but he pointed to the girl's car. You don't want me, he said. You want him. Crouched behind the driver's seat, there was a man with a knife. As the driver of the truck explained it, the man had slipped into the girl's car just before she left the school. He saw it happen, but there was no way that he could stop it. He thought about getting the police, but he was too afraid to leave her, so he followed her car. Each time the man in the back seat reached up to overpower her, the driver of the truck turned on his high beams. Damn it, when I'm reading I'm getting goosebumps. Then the man dropped down, afraid that someone might see him. So I heard this urban legend, and that was an initiation or a hazing to get into like a gang, was that when a girl was at a petrol or gas station and she had to go inside to pay for the gas,
They'd slip in.
a guy would sit into go in, because usually the car's unlocked. They would go in, and one time this guy said, "Ma'am, I don't think you should go back into your car because I've just seen a man enter your car." And so
was the like if it's a gang, was the initiation to like, oh God, that's horrible.
Jesus.
It's very real though. Like this is a
there's
very
no supernatural.
yeah.
There's
It's
no
like
monster.
Right.
Joyride. There's a lot of movies where it's like someone
super real.
Yeah, those ones don't for some reason. At
This
least
is
in the
thing
movies.
that's likely to happen.
No, I know, but it's always the ghost stuff that freaks me out more. I don't know why.
So when someone eats a toe, I'm like, oh fuck it, I'm never gonna.
Okay, the toe one is iconic
Why?
because it's
Who's got my toe?
so before.
Where's my toe?
Okay, that no one described a voice. You're just
It was like,
making
but
that
it was
voice
like
up.
this toe.
That's how I read it.
I heard this
bigger
story
than his
from my
foot.
mom before I read these.
Why would 3 people harvest or find a toe and then think, great, that's dinner tonight?
Because they
Unrelatable.
don't.
No good.
Yeah, I guess when you're
You ate a
reading
toe,
this
that's on you. If
version-
you're fucked up enough to eat a toe, the rest that happens is on
Maybe they're
you. This is a
hungry.
This is a
They're
consequence.
starving. Maybe they thought it was a potato.
Oh, potato.
Well, the one there was one.
Mash 'em.
There was one that was.
Put them in a stew.
What is it?
That's a Two Towers joke.
Yep. Thanks. Hobbit humor.
Oh yeah.
Potatoes. My mom used. So what's really funny? So my mom is originally from Georgia. She comes from a family of 7 siblings.
That's a lot.
And she was for 30 years a public school teacher in Hollywood with like 4th to 6th grade students. And she has all these fun stories about getting into trouble with her brothers and different things. And they're kind of famous because she would tell, they're like almost her own urban legends, but she has some that she heard from her family and the hook, the hook, which is in this one, the toe one, in one of the later ones, I think it might be the second one, it's the girl with the ribbon around her neck.
Is it because it's just covering a scar? Is it?
No, hold on.
Okay.
I probably have heard these because I remember what it is.
You definitely have.
Did she get decapitated and it got put back on?
Look at this.
That's what I look like before I put makeup.
There was one called Taily Po that was like that. Instead of where's my toe, it was Taily Po, Taily Po. Where is my Taily Po? Do you
This
remember
one's
that?
cute. It looks like a cat bat, kind of. I like that one.
Yeah, that's probably native to Australia as well.
I have 2 costumes for Pan. One is a little Batwing leg suit.
You've leaned into this.
Yeah, he's my cat.
Yeah.
He has to like Halloween. He doesn't like it at all. And then the other one, well, he's also a black cat with he has like really cute teeth. So I got him a little vampire cape on Velcro that you just put around him. It's really cute. That kind of looks like a fat bat version of him. Keep chatting. I'm gonna find this weird one. But like this one too, it's a wonderful sausage, and it's like cannibalism. Like that illustration is gross. You're telling me that doesn't freak you out at all?
Hold on. So it's a hand coming out of a stump trying to eat a ball.
It's a meatball, and the meat is you.
Oh, nice to meet you.
Maude, I thought you were scared of things.
Not of this. It's okay. So I was
That
reading the
bums me
first few, and
out.
I was like, "Oh, this is." So like when they were starting to do the formulaic, A plus B equals boo, which was like, there was a man and he was walking through his dark house and the lights wouldn't turn on, and then
if you were to sleep over when you were 8.
Oh, I did. I'm the kind of person, when I was 14, my friend wanted to watch The Sixth Sense. I've dated myself, damn it, for her birthday, and I refused to go. And she said that I wrecked her birthday because I refused to watch The Sixth Sense. And I was just like, no, I just don't want to watch it. And the only time that we had Halloween sort of things happen, the friends would all be over and they'd watch the horror movie. I would sit next to the television and watch my friends watch the movie, because I couldn't watch the movie. And seeing their reactions was like, exhilarating how I got around that.
You had to have secondhand scares.
Yes.
That's so
And they got
funny.
scared and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that's good. But I would hear it and I'd be like, oh man,
That's
just
the
hearing
thing
it is
about this is like I could see if you read it very softly and all that stuff, or not even read it but told it that way, I could see how it works. But reading them takes it all away, and you're like, okay, and okay, and okay.
So yeah, some of them would sit with me only, like that one especially, just because there was this thing, in Australia, if you're a woman at night at the gas station, you had to check the backseat of your car before you got in, so you wouldn't die.
That's nuts.
That's just,
I'm gonna read my favorite one. This
Please
is
do.
The Girl Who Stood on a Grave, which I was gonna do the babysitter one where it's the phone call, but it's so you're like, whatever, that'll never happen anymore because we have cell phones, so it just didn't have the desired effect. All right, this is The Girl Who Stood on a Grave. Good, it's a good twist. Some boys and girls were at a party one night. There was a graveyard down the street, and they were talking about how scary it was. "Don't ever stand on a grave after dark," one of the boys said. "The person inside will grab you. He'll pull you under." "That's not true," one of the girls said. "It's just a superstition."
I admire her.
"I'll give you $1 if you stand on the grave," said the boy. "A grave doesn't scare me," said the girl. "I'll do it right now." The boy handed her his knife. Why does he have a knife?
He's a boy.
He's in Greece. He's a greaser.
Yes. "Stick this knife in one of the graves, and then we'll know that you were there." The graveyard was filled with shadows and was quiet as death. "There's nothing to be scared of," the girl told herself, but she was scared anyway. She picked out a grave and stood on it. Then, quickly, she bent over and plunged the knife into the soil, and she started to leave, but she couldn't get away. Something was holding her back. She tried a second time to leave, but she couldn't move. She was filled with terror. "Something has got me," she screamed, and she fell to the ground. When she didn't come back, the others went to look for her. They found her body sprawled across the grave. Without realizing it, she had plunged the knife through her skirt and had pinned it to the ground. It was only the knife that held her. She had died of fright.
That's the cover image.
It sure is.
Yeah.
That's a good
am
one.
I making it up
This
that
one
the
just needs
girl
a
with the
hug.
ribbon was in these books? Aaron?
This one.
Do you remember
with the
that?
ribbon?
Is that something else? I can't find it.
But yeah, well, are you gonna say what it is? Or?
Well, I'll say it. It's like a guy meets a girl and she's got this cute like ribbon choker. She can't take it off. And I don't know why she takes it off eventually, but she doesn't. Her head falls off. Is that part of it?
I think they like get married and it's like the night of their wedding night. And he's
No,
like,
that's the bride one.
oh my God,
where she
I
ends
have read this.
You have definitely read them, Amy. I think
They're all
that's this
coming
one.
out.
I actually like that one.
Jesus.
Where's the bride?
This guy just needs a hug, by the way. Can we just?
No, I don't like that at all. Don't do that. I don't. This is like the time I'm gonna get scared. It's like it's these
for
children.
8 to 12-year-olds.
I know that.
8 to
I'm gonna read The
12.
Bride. This one also sticks with me mostly because of this image. Look at that.
I mean,
I can't see what it is.
That's some fucked up
what is
shit.
she holding?
Hold on, you'll find out.
Okay. I'm ready to be read to. I like being read to. That's nice.
Okay. The Bride. This one's longer maybe than the last one. Not by much. They're way shorter than I remember. The minister's daughter had just gotten married. After the wedding ceremony, there was a great feast with music and dancing and contests and games, even old children's games. When they got to playing hide and seek, the bride decided to hide in her grandfather's trunk up in the attic. They'll never find me there, she thought. As she was climbing into the trunk, the lid came down and cracked her on the head and she fell unconscious inside. The lid slammed shut and locked. No one will ever know how long she called for help or how hard she struggled to free herself from that tomb. Everyone in the village searched for her and they looked almost everywhere, but no one thought of looking in the trunk. After a week, her brand new bridegroom and all the others gave her up for lost. Years later, a maid went up into the attic looking for something she needed. Maybe it is in the trunk, she thought. She opened it and screamed. There lay the missing bride in her wedding dress, but by then, she was only a skeleton. Nothing? Thank you.
I mean, I think it's
Aaron.
really awful that like they gave up.
I mean, she could have been a runaway bride.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
know?
but at that point, you could get a dog.
And like
Get
the attic.
a
I
is
mean,
open,
but
you
they're in
can't
a
hear the
village. Like, we don't know what
screams.
year it is.
That's
And
true.
honestly, if you want to go up into the attic or if you want to go down to a basement, your fate has been sealed.
That's true. That's true. You never go
She
in the
had it
basement
coming.
or the attic or say, I'll be right back.
Can I tell
There's
you
a lot of things you can't
what
do.
happened when I was 9? So this is in the prime age of these stories. I did a seance.
Jesus, Maude.
And I actually discovered how
What?
my grandmother died from my vision.
No.
You wanna hear about this?
Yes.
Oh my
yes,
God.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
no.
I'm very
This
excited.
is gonna freak me out.
So it's so funny because we did my best friend's grandfather first, and I can still picture the vision that I got, crystal clear. We're picturing him, and he was in a white wife beater and like older, like cotton boxers, and his face was painted a sad clown face, and he had this tiny little
No.
top hat, and he was cycling around on this tiny little bike.
Wait,
And I was like, oh,
why did you picture that?
It's what happened. It's what came to me. And so then I was like, all right, let's do my grandmother.
And
Betty.
wait, what were you asking about, and why did it come to you?
This is a relative that had passed on, and we're just trying to communicate with them.
And
he's-
that image popped
He
into
was
your
a
head.
sad clown on a little tricycle.
Was he a clown in life?
I have no idea.
What kind of relative?
Why wouldn't you ask,
Grandfa-
like,
her
hey, was
grandfather.
he a clown?
I was 9. Because I was a little bit more consumed by what I saw when I channeled my grandmother.
Okay,
Oh,
okay.
no.
So I didn't know anything about her, just that, you know, she had died long before, like I think my dad was 19. And up is this black and white picture sort of from like the 60s or 70s where she's painted up and then it catches on fire. And the painting or the picture or whatever is like engulfed in flames. I remember the next day I was like, Mom, I had this vision of, and I told her the story and she's like, do you know how she died? And I'm like, no, she died in a house fire.
I have many questions.
So yeah,
Was having visions just a thing you did as a child? That it was like, Mom, I had another vision of my grandmother.
No, we did a seance.
I know, but
We
like that's
channeled
not a
the
thing that
spirits.
I've done. Oh, I have a Ouija board and it's a spirit board.
You have it here in the building, Rachel?
Yeah, should we get it?
No! No.
I used to do them, and I actually know I had. Someone's gonna go get it, maybe.
No,
Come on,
please,
let's reason.
please.
It's a spirit board. It's not a.
I don't care what it is.
No,
don't
I
get
mean
it.
like from a legal standpoint. It's not a brand. But anyway, I used to do seances of all types, and light as a feather, stiff as a board. I tried to practice Wicca for a while after the craft. You know, everyone goes through it. I've circled back. I just bought a bunch of Wicca books on Kindle.
Good.
But I did a Ouija board experience when I was probably 10, and it freaked me the fuck out. Like, it still haunts me. And I was with my best friend whose dad was in a fairly famous rock alternative band in the 90s, and they had a huge house and like a basketball, like he was a famous musician. And so I would like go hang out at her house from like going like, Mom and I are in our apartment, to like a tower that they had separate in there. So it was already spooky and weird and like, you know, rich people stuff that you can't understand. And so we would and there was a phone in a landline, I'm dating myself now, a landline in there. And we'd watch The Craft and other spooky things or something, I don't remember, but stuff like that. We had all the lights down, and we're in this tower that is probably an acre of land away from the main house, because they had multiple like up in the Hollywood Hills. And so we decided to do a Ouija board. And I don't remember who we were trying to contact, but it was probably a dead relative of some sort. And as we're doing it, we're realizing that this isn't this person. It's someone who's pretending to be this person. And it's just us, right?
How would you know? How do you know?
Because it's like the way that they're answering, we were like, this is really, it was like they were telling us what we wanted to hear. But it wasn't quite right.
How old were you?
And so I was probably like 9 or 10.
Yeah.
Because I stopped being friends with her when I went to 6th grade, because we went to not stopped, but we went to different schools. So it's probably 9 or 10. And so we're doing it, and we're, you know, when you're doing the Ouija board, you're like, are you moving it? Are you? And you're like, no, I'm actually, like, I'm not moving it.
Yeah,
I'm not, I'm barely,
I was moving it.
Yeah, of course you were. Of course you were. I was not moving it. Honestly, Clara probably was, but.
Maybe I'm a poltergeist because I was feeding off their fear. Well, it was easy for me to not open myself up.
Slytherin.
Damn it.
Hufflepuff, Slytherin. Shades of.
Yeah.
But so I swear to you, I'm not making this up. If she was doing it, it was like a very long con. Because we start asking it like, we know you're not who you say you are. Who are you? And it's like, oh, I just like want to be like, but you know, broken, because you have to spell it all out. So it's like, I'm your friend or something. And it's like, no, who are you though? And no joke, it spelled out Mistopheles, which is the devil.
Oh, we've lost someone. We've got. I didn't even know Mistopheles was the devil.
I didn't either.
How is that?
Oh my God.
When is the devil referred to as Mistopheles?
In the Bible.
Oh, that's why I don't know.
And this was before I went to Catholic school. We actually stopped being friends because I got into the Catholic school and she didn't, and I only applied to go there because she wanted to go. Anyway, so I didn't know what it was.
That's a long name to spell out.
Oh yeah.
Do 9-year-olds even know how to spell Mistopheles?
That's the thing. Is that and so.
Is it
so
with a
it
PH?
spelled that, yes.
Yeah, okay.
And it spelled it out. And so then it said like, I'm trying to remember, it was like, it was like, I can give you like powers type thing. I swear to you, it was probably her, but what if it wasn't? And I can give you powers, you just have to call me on this number. And we were like, what do you mean? Like with a ghost phone? What are we doing? Like, this isn't Ghostbusters. And it gave us a phone number, and we were like, absolutely not. We're not doing that. And maybe it was her. I don't know. The phone rang.
Wait, okay, that got me. That got me.
I'm pretty sure it was. So the band is the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and her dad was Flea. So it's possible he was pranking us.
Australian.
Yes, he is. Yes, Michael. So the phone in the tower rings, and the answering machine goes on, and a sing-song voice goes, "Why aren't you calling me?" And we were like, "Ah!" We just like booked it out of the tower, ran to her house, hid and like slept with the lights on, didn't sleep the whole night, and it like fucked me up for a really long time.
My
like
God.
a really long time. And it could have been. Who knows? He
Rachel.
didn't own up to it. Flea, if you're out there.
It's
been 20 years.
would have done that.
I know,
That's
but like it's still
amazing.
horrifying.
Oh boy.
My brother actually did a similar, less extensive thing with The Ring. You guys seen The Ring?
Yeah, if you watch it, you die in 7 days.
My brother, who's 18 years older than me, full adult, doing this to a, 12, 13-year-old, 14, I don't know. He had already seen the movie. He was staying with us. He had the room below mine. I went to go see the movie with friends. He went into my room. He's a contractor and a plumber, so he like fixes stuff. Disconnected the lights in my room.
Jesus.
Disconnected the little TV, the like tiny TV I had in my room. And I had a landline, and I got home super freaked out from the movie. And I go into my room and I try to turn the light on, and it doesn't go on. And I'm like, okay, it's fine. Power's out, totally fine. Only in my room, okay. And the phone rings, and I was like, because that's like the main part, and I pick it up. And it goes, 7 days. And I like freak out. And then he had my remote to the TV already. So he's on the stairs, so he turns on the TV and static goes on. And I like levitate out of my body, like scream, go down the stairs. I see him at the bottom of the stairs laughing his ass off. He's 6'5". I'm pretty sure I leapt from the top of the stairs at him like a spider monkey, because I was like, you're a like 30-plus-year-old man and I am a teenage girl. What are you doing? Why would you do this to me?
This is why I don't think I should have kids.
This is why you should have kids.
Okay.
That sounds really fun on the other end.
Yes.
But as the child, it's terrible.
So I hosted a show in Australia called Camp Orange, and it's where 4 teams of best friends partake in 2 activities a day, and then whoever wins, the most challenges wins overall. Super, super lovely. Except we decided to do a spooky challenge, and it's just one, and it happened at night. Sadistic Maude came out, where I was just like, I'd just start telling them about like all these horror like stories before they're about to go in.
The children?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I thought it'd be really funny if they freaked out on camera. And I'd be like, what was that? And they're like, what was that? And I'm like, oh, you guys haven't heard the story about the ghost that's been living here for 43 years? And they're like, no? I'm like, oh, it's probably nothing. Except the people it kills.
How old are these kids? How?
And the producer's like, Maude, you really you should not be doing that. That's kind of awful. And I'm like, is it though? Is it?
I no longer feel bad for any scary things that happen to you on camera. That's your karma. What is it? Oh, is it
well, I mean, as we
Chucky?
Found out with Shining.
Is it Chucky?
With The Shining, you know what? If you feel disempowered, then you turn it on someone
till
else.
the end? Is it Chucky that freaks you out?
Yes.
We'll be friends till the end.
I've never seen the movie.
You just went through that haunted maze.
I went through the haunted maze.
And that's the thing.
Yep.
You went through a haunted maze.
I did.
I really enjoyed watching.
Thanks. Yeah, it was.
That's a real, genuine fear.
The best part is when I can't back up far enough, so I fall on the floor.
I've been there bad.
I wish.
I had to army crawl
Although I feel like,
the haunted house.
I should do more of those, because
legs
I feel
wouldn't
like that would get me. We should do a haunted house.
Absolutely not.
I don't know, man. I mean, here's the last time I did one, I injured my friend because I did one of those, like, we're all like walking, and something jumps out, and I do one of those things where I back up, but I throw my head back and I go, ah! And I backwards headbutted them in the mouth. And so it's like, there's fun, and then there's like Amy's, your
body's
facilities.
out of your,
And it's just,
That's
hurting
how I
people
live
now.
my life. Stomping into shit.
Yeah, but
Oh my God. Do you have any spooky stories?
I think the
This is
scariest
really
thing is
fun.
that my dad is a fan of Charmed. I was thinking of what's scary.
That's is that he's a fan or something
Yeah,
from
he
Charmed?
loves Charmed.
Charmed is great.
Charmed is great. He was the biggest fan in
Was
our
he
household.
did he
I think he was
follow
into Three
through-
Hot Women.
Well, yeah, of course. Who isn't? But was he into both versions
can
after
tell
Shannon
you-
Doherty left? Because that's where they kind of lost me.
No. But I can tell you, this is a little bit more religious. I grew up Catholic, and it did make me like. Yeah,
Because you're Catholic. Me too.
Oh, okay. Well, there was just an instance in our house where we couldn't find Mom's keys, and we each had our own. It's me and 3 sisters, and we're all fairly
And
close
it's
in age.
2 sets of twins, correct?
One set of twins.
Oh, the other.
The
Because
other
you
one's
have
not
your
twin.
sister podcast.
Yeah, it's called Twin Sister, but we describe it as like that's a twin, that's a sister, that's a twin, and that's a sister. Like as
They
and it
look
also just
very
says nice.
similar though too. How far
Yeah.
apart in age are you guys?
Really, like 5 years between all 4 of us.
Oof.
So
Yeah,
it's
that's
a lot of
very
girls
close.
as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is a lot of girls.
I
But
feel like twins are magical.
My brother.
We might be. I don't know.
Do you have the twin thing?
Nothing like that, but big instances in our lives will, like, if something terrible or big happens to me, it's like pretty similar. But I never know if that's because we're twins or if it's like we're both 33. You know, like that's kind of
Do you
the
ever
time.
like know when? Have you guys seen Practical Magic?
I have a feeling you've seen it 922 times. Am I right?
No.
They had toads in it, and I was like, I just can't do toads.
Yeah, but that's the scary part. Anyway, they like can sense when something is happening with the other one, and I always thought that was cool.
I don't know if it's going to circle back around, but no, not really.
Okay, let me know if that changes.
I know
'cause
it's
I'm-
kind of disappointing.
Yeah, you should maybe like practice or work on it. Yeah.
My mom will say, she has said that I'll get off the phone with her, and then Jenny will call with the same sentiment of phone call of like, oh, I need help with this. It has to do with my job, or I need help with this. It has to do with a boy, or whatever, like that kind of stuff.
That's
But
cool. Continue your story about
Okay.
your sisters.
we all had our activities we had to go to, and not finding Mom's keys was like, none of us are going to get to go to volleyball or drama practice or soccer practice or whatever. And so we busted our asses all over the house, and there were 2 places where my mom's keys always were: her dresser or by the kitchen counter on our way out. So it was either on her dresser in her bedroom or at the kitchen counter. And those were the 2 places we like, all of us were like, are they there? No, they're not there. Okay, are they in your purse? And then we'd branch out from there. And it was like half an hour of this. And I got down on my knees and I prayed to Saint Anthony, who is the patron saint of lost things, which that's cool.
Yeah.
That you know that.
Well, my middle name is Treese. So yeah, no,
okay.
very Catholic family. too.
Yeah, but I did it, and I was earnest, and I legit prayed and was like, we need to find these keys, St. Anthony, please, please, please. And I was like in her room, and I opened my eyes, and they're fucking there. They're just on the dresser. And this has been a half hour of us definitely looking at that spot. It was as if they had always been there, and I have no. It was like they were like, Amy, where were they? And I was like, they were there. And everyone was like, no, they weren't. You were hiding. Like, no one believed me. And so it's not spooky, but it's a little bit in that vein of like
spirit,
ghosty, spirit, religious, whatever you believe in qualifies, I guess.
I love that.
But it's not scary. I don't know.
I mean, it could be if that freaks you out. I am
Yeah.
the like ex-Catholic in my very Buffalo, New York, Irish Catholic family, but my dad moved to the West Coast, so we're the like hippie ones. And my grandmother Treese, God rest her soul, was very upset that I wasn't being baptized because my mom and my dad were not into it. And so when she came to visit when I was a little kid, she kidnapped me sort of in the middle of the night and took me to a midnight mass and took holy water and tried to baptize me so I wouldn't go to limbo. And she like instilled, she was a very intense Irish
Let's look at Maude
Catholic
for a hot
lady.
second.
She was a pistol at Pinochle. Oh man, she was a real, I feel like any sass I have comes from her.
Sure.
But she all of my cousins grew up very, very Catholic and like actually afraid of the devil, which I think maybe Stephen had a moment earlier of that. Yeah.
I have a cousin who was on her way to being a nun. She was like almost nun, and I did ask her, I was like, do you believe in exorcisms and devils and like demons, taking over your body? And she was like, absolutely, yes, of course. And I was okay.
I think it's seeped into me because I always grew up either agnostic or whatever, and I wasn't raised in the faith growing up, but I went to Catholic school and I grew up with Catholic family, and now when I watch scary movies, it's stigmata, it's possession, it's all of those things freak me out.
I got a ghost story for you guys.
Ooh,
yes.
I brought a ghost home with me once.
Maude,
you are definitely like a medium of some sort.
You have to be.
The fact that you are getting visions during a seance,
at that 100%.
Age. No, because I spoke to a spiritual advisor, and he's like, you are just so closed off to the dead.
You should open the door.
I'm super empathetic, so I'm super in tune with living people. But he goes, honestly, there could be a ghost screaming in your face, and you would have no idea.
I want to talk to ghosts.
And this was not long ago.
And be a vampire.
When I was hosting a national radio show in Australia, and it was Friday the 13th, or it was a Halloween, or whatever it was, and we decided to take a ghost busting team and go to one of the most notoriously haunted places in Sydney, and it was at a place called The Rocks, which was on like one of Sydney's harbour. And what happened in like the early 1900s, I think it was maybe the First or Second World War when they were enlisting, there was this bar there, and they would make there was Rosie, who was the bar whore, and she would make sure that all the boys were getting drunk. And there was George, who owned it, and there was
the madam.
And so she would make sure that they were all liquored up, and then what would happen is they'd pass out, and she'd basically push them over this trapdoor, and it would drop them down, and they would lead them out this tunnel, put them on a boat, and when they'd come to, they were basically enlisted into the war, and they would kidnap, basically, like 19-year-old boys to put them off and fight for the country. But what happened one time was one of the 19-year-old boys who fell through the trapdoor, he landed on his neck and died.
Sorry.
So she's still there, George, the owner, is still there, and the 19-year-old boy is there. And
as ghosts.
It's haunting the place. And I was fine, and we had the microphone, and I was like, this is all hoo-ha, whatever. But twice, not once, but twice. You know the feeling when you go to walk past someone and you put your hand on the small of someone's back so that you can just let them know that you're moving past? I was like, whoa, okay. No one was there. Twice that happened. And then a rock was thrown. It didn't drop down. It was thrown at an angle from the ceiling to the corner of the room. And I'm like freaking out at this stage. And my co-host and producer were just like, oh, that was so funny. It was all fake. You could tell. And I go, guys, I don't really have a bad feeling about this. I'm not okay. Like, that was full on for me. Someone definitely touched me. Something's going on. The rock. And you're like, it's all just whatever. And I'm hearing all about the stories, and I'm like, affected. Anyway, I'm driving home, and I'm like, I don't know, I'm going to sleep, and I go to bed, and I wake up, and I talk to my 33-year-old publicist roommate who's so normal and wonderful and giggly and happy. And she goes, what happened last night? And I was like, oh, I'm telling you, man, we filmed at this haunted house, like haunted establishment. And she goes, this is going to sound really, really weird.
No.
But you've brought a ghost home with you? And I'm like, what are you talking about? She goes, it came and sat on my bed in the middle of the night. She goes, I was half asleep, and she thought it was her friend. She's like, Christina? And it went, no. And then the next thing that she says is the most surreal part of this whole thing. What? She goes, so then I obviously had to put up my my gold beam of protection, and I basically told it that it had to move on. I'm like, I'm not catching up with what's happening here. And she goes, I've been able to see spirits my entire life, and it's not something that I ever share with anyone, and I would rather no one knew this about me. But if you kind of omit purple or gold, it's like a repellent. She goes, she had to put up this seriously this
figure out how to do
beam, this shield, and she basically told it, I'm not going to help you. I'm not the one to do it. You need to move on. But she was telling me about this whole thing, and I was just like.
I was freaked out, but then
that was 7 years ago.
Only 7 years ago.
Anyway,
when was that?
Only 7 years ago.
Do you think it's still following you?
No, she sent it on its way. Apparently.
Wait, so how does this gold thing work?
Follow. Yeah. You gotta project gold or purple.
But is it a bar, like a wand that you hold, or
no?
It was
no, like a mental, like the shine, like a wall.
Yeah.
Man, see, I'm afraid, but I also really want a ghost.
I was just like, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to do that.
To freak us out?
No, I'm saying to her. I was like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to bring a
to-
ghost home. I didn't mean to do that.
Because you're
which
shutting
one
them
was
off,
it?
but you're bringing them with you, and people who are open to it are sensing them.
What,
I want that.
which
want
one was it?
ghosts.
Which one?
Go, woman.
It was Rosie?
Yep.
All right.
That's better than like.
But she
the
was
boy,
chill?
because he might be mad.
Like she was just a chill ghost?
Yeah, just sat on the bed like, oh, you can see me. Hi.
That's
hi,
still
hi.
not
And she's like, nope.
great.
Get her. And I was just like, million questions. I was like, where do I start with this? I was like, when did you first see ghosts? She's like, childhood. Like, all
Where's she
throughout her
from?
childhood.
Yeah,
she had like a
so-
spiritual mentor that helped her and trained her to keep it all out.
Is she Buffy?
Dude, it was like that. It was
That's
so
so
full
cool.
on. But like every other day, she's like, hi, how is everyone? And this time she's like, yeah, you brought a ghost home. Don't worry. Like I basically cleansed the place. I was like, what?
I do have sage at home.
You have sage?
But there's no ghost there. Ghost or vampire? Give me one. Come on.
This month is gonna fuck me up.
It's so good. Well, we hope that you're spooked and have a wonderful Halloween. Your homework this week, I can't believe where we are. It's to start Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince.
Yes!
I can't believe we're almost done. It's
I
like
know.
tragic and exciting, and we're gonna get into it, and I'm gonna cry. We know when you're gonna cry. We're reading up to page 129, which is chapter 7 in our copy. Don't forget, we're also on Goodreads. Search Alpha Book Club. Come discuss with us. If you have spooky recommendations, those are my faves, so please send them to me. If you want to join in and call us, you could do that. You could talk to us right now. We would love to talk to you. Just let us know on Twitter.
Even if
use
you've died
hashtag-
already, we can get you on.
That would be so cool.
Oh my God.
Can you use hashtags from the great beyond? This is like a Beetlejuice.
Is there a hashtag on the Ouija
situation.
board?
I just ordered a Wario Ouija board, a Waluigi board, and it just says Wah.
That's funny.
It's really good.
Mine, that's kind of haunting as well. The only thing that it can ever say once and only is why.
Wow. Thanks so much for joining us. Have a wonderful Halloween. Send us pictures of all of your costumes because we're excited. We'll see you all next week for Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. Bye.
What?